The most important thing that you can do to be productive is to eliminate distractions.
What's up, man? How's it going?
What's going on, dude? So what are we talking about today?
Productivity.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Okay. All right. So hit me. So come at me.
Well, you know, productivity is something that the audience has asked a lot about, and I've noticed that you are a very, very, very productive guy.
Okay.
So what's your secret?
Well, there's not really one secret. I think it's, you know, I think I've mentioned these to you before, off air before, that my secret to quote unquote productivity success always comes down to focus. But I learned it the hard way. I was kind of forced into an environment where I was forced to be overly productive just to kind of get myself out of the homelessness and that stuff. And I've always kind of fought uphill both ways. That's kind of been my nature, is I've always had to kind of fight my way forward. As a result, productivity, I guess, has become almost second nature to me. But I think there are a couple different things that I think that are at the heart of productivity. You know, the first of which I think is going to be consistently doing a brain dump. So here's what I mean by that. A lot of folks that are trying to do the productivity cycle, meaning they're trying to be more productive. One of the most difficult things I see people struggle with is this element of trying to remember everything. They're trying to remember all the, you know, I got to go to the dry cleaners, I got to pick up the kids, I got to get this report off the boss.
They're keeping everything in their head.
They're keeping everything in their head. And as a result, they have this moment. They're sound asleep, sleeping nicely, sheep are dancing, jumping over across the fence. And all of a sudden they go, whoa, I forgot to. And if that is that's a telltale sign that you're trying to keep way too much in your head. So one of the techniques that I use is that before I go in to see my family, okay, I work a normal work day, and normal for me is 12 hours.
I know, yeah.
So,
when I said he's productive, he's productive.
But I also love what I do, right? So I get 16 hours of work done in 12 hours, and it's because of many of the things that I'm going to share with you today. The first of which is this brain dump concept. So before I go into the house to spend time with my family, except for the text messages that Connor texts me with after hours, but that's beside the point. Right? But outside of that, when I go into my house, I have done my best to do a brain dump. In other words, I'm not taking that stuff into the house. I've already kind of have an idea of what I'm planning for my day the next day. Knowing that, and here's what's important. Most people, when they set out to plan their day for the next day or the day to follow, or even at the beginning of that day, they make it so rigid that they're not flexible. So when something happens that throws them off, it throws them all off. I set it as more like guidelines. Like, here's what I think I'm going to get done tomorrow. Okay, here's what I think I'm going to be doing tomorrow.
Is that why sometimes, like, I walk in and you're in a really bad mood and you're like, damn, man, I can't do what I planned to do today because I had this fire come up. Is that why?
Yeah, and you know, it's I wouldn't say really bad mood, but it's definitely a stressful mood.
For you though, you know.
Well, yeah, because I like to get crap done. So any time that's interrupted, it does bug me a little bit. But you know, at the same time, I have a lot of responsibility, right? I've got a lot of responsibility to my team, to my customers, to the businesses. I can't just up and walk out and just go do what I want to do when I want to do it.
Right.
And whether you like it or not, I know that they sell the entrepreneurial journey, that all of a sudden you have all this freedom. Right? It doesn't necessarily pan out that way directly, but no, I mean, I do a brain dump. I'll spend time. I'll try to get everything out of my head. Hey, this is what I got coming up. You know, we launched the audio version of the podcast just recently on iTunes, so now you can find Stuck to Unstoppable in the audio version. We found out that was going to be a way to serve a greater need. Mm-hmm. Well, as a result, we wanted to make sure that we launched it well, so we had to, you know, have, 30, 35 episodes ahead of time before we even launched it on the, you know, all of that.
And if you're watching on YouTube, you've already seen a lot of them, but
exactly.
But you can listen on iTunes now.
Yeah, but you know, and you know, some people like to do that when they're working out, stuff like that. But beside the point, it was a huge launch. I had to send the team, hey, look, here's the cadence, here's what's expected. Here's a video of how we actually upload them all to make sure we connect them to the blog, we connect them over here as a way to at least give the team some insight to kind of help out. Okay, so that was, had I not done that, I would have been freaking out all the way till today, which is when we're filming this right now, is April 1st, right? And we would not have launched on time, and that would have made me more angry not to not launch on time, because I hate not launching on time.
That's why I was up till 10 p.m. here last night, right? To make sure we didn't fail.
Exactly. You know, but that's an element of the brain dump. I think that's a huge part of it. And when you start using that technique, you have less overwhelm in your mind. which means you start out your day at a better place, which means you start out with a brain open, not closed. You're not starting out with all the stuff kind of funneling. You wake up and all of a sudden you go, well, I got to do this, 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 and then when it's out here in the space, so to speak, you can't prioritize it. On paper you can at least move stuff around. Okay, well I got this, I got this, which kind of leads me to the next step. I prioritize things based on lift. What is going to get me the greatest lift today in priorities?
When you say lift,
I mean, for example, okay, one of the things that we're doing today is we're obviously taping. Okay, we're taking the audience questions, we're trying to tape it and trying to offer as much value as we can. Okay. However, I could have decided to write a new blog today and said, no taping today, I'm just going to write a blog.
All right, and it would have taken about the same amount of time.
Taken about the same amount of time to do it right, do it right, do it well. And as a result, we wouldn't have taped. Mm-hmm. Well, it just goes to show that we have a very rapidly growing YouTube audience. So which one had given me the greater level of service?
Right now it's YouTube.
Exactly. So from a priority standpoint, I'm going to get a greater lift by investing my time in the filming.
Okay, you're going to have like a greater outcome.
A greater outcome, a greater chance for impact, a greater chance for connection, a greater chance for showing my heart and my mind to to the tribe and stuff like that, to let them know that they matter to me, right? I know they matter to the team, but if I decided not to show up and just go write a blog or go clean my office, right? All of which need to be done.
Right.
But I'm not going to get the highest level of impact. And what most people do is because it's easier, they go to the easy first.
So they clean the office first because it's like, this is easy for me to do.
And because the harder thing is more difficult to do, and typically people shy away from difficult things.
Yeah.
Which is the number one reason why people typically don't get as much traction as they could in a given year, is because they're doing the easy stuff before the hard stuff. You've heard me say this before, right? It's part of one of our core values, and because I know the power of it, is we do hard work first.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was a big lesson that I had to learn. Mm-hmm. For years, I did the easy stuff, and as an entrepreneur trying to do the easy stuff, you don't really get paid. It doesn't work because you don't get paid to do the easy. Especially because the easy for me was, thinking, planning, studying how to improve things. I did very little actual execution building the business because it put me outside of my comfort zone. Yeah. So for years, I just stayed small.
Yeah, and one of the things that you brought up to me is apparently, so my mindset's always do the hard work first as a rule of thumb, right? It's the very thing that I don't want to do is the very thing I force myself to do, right? And for some reason, the productivity boost I get out of that also breeds confidence. It also helps me understand about where I'm headed next and what I'm about to do to get there. So when you start looking at productivity, you start looking at brain dumping, you start looking at leveraging your priorities, your number one goal with a priority is to look at everything, your entire to-do list, right? Which, if you've done the brain dump, you now have a list of stuff you need to be doing, okay? Everything from picking up the kids to doing the laundry to writing a check to, you got a whole list of things to do, okay? The one that gets my focus, my immediate focus and attention, is the one that's going to give me the greatest lift. It's the one that's going to give me more compounding of time, compounding of resource, compounding of resources. So for example, with this YouTube channel specifically, me investing an hour here or 45 minutes for this, our average Q&A is about 45 minutes. Investing 45 minutes here, I'm going to help more people doing this. Where if I write a blog, I might help 10% or 20% less people.
At least for right now, yeah.
At least for right now. Not to mention, being here allows me to give my team my content, my ideas, my concepts that everybody seems to enjoy, and when they use them, it works for them. And now my team can actually just go ahead and knock out the blog for me. Especially given I'm an ADHD, dyslexic kid who can't spell with a flip and grammar, right? Right? So as a result, I can now be in two places at once. That's what I mean by compounding of time, compounding of resource, compounding of talent, all that stuff. So you look at priorities as what is the most important thing I can do today to make the largest impact for today and tomorrow. Okay. It's also why I budget my time within each of the businesses on specific days a week. Is so I doing my best to actually have focus. Because if I was trying to do some CHE business, some Journey Principles business, some Scoggins Holdings business, some real estate business, all in the same day, How overwhelmed do you think I'm going to be?
You know, it's funny. I just very recently learned that, and like literally a week ago when we changed up our whole content process to make it so that we can put stuff out a lot quicker.
Yeah.
I changed it so that I have 1 or 2 days a week that are dedicated content days, and then the rest of my time is spent on the other roles and responsibilities that I have here. And I've already noticed that my level of overwhelm has drastically gone down because I have an expectation that day I'm not going to have any crazy fires pop up. That I'm focused on that thing that day.
Yep. And that's exactly my point. Brain dumping leads to prioritization. Prioritization then gives you an action list. And if you're going to be crazy effective in your actions, you're going to have the other two steps first. Otherwise, you're simply waking up and you're just kind of going with the flow. And if you're going with the flow, you're going to be like a boat in an ocean. You'll be tossed side to side, side to side, side to side, right? Your boat needs to be in a canal, right? You need to be heading one specific direction, trying to get to one specific place until you knock that thing down. Think of it in terms of a domino. Right? You ever seen these nice, really cool domino designs that they make, and then they'll put out 1,000 dominoes.
Yeah, those guys are really talented. Especially, have you ever seen the ones where it's like multiple floors and they have the balls and everything? Yeah.
Yeah, but that's my point. The first domino starts all the other dominoes falling. If the goal was to make the dominoes fall, because typically when the dominoes fall, it even creates a cleaner image of whatever it is you're trying to design, right? If you started it in the middle, then everything before that's not going to work. Meanwhile, if that one domino clicks, right, it creates momentum through all the other dominoes up to the point where you do get about halfway done, and all of a sudden those small dominoes are now knocking over these massive dominoes.
It's like a chain reaction.
It's a chain reaction. It's called momentum, right? Brain dump, prioritization, action list, and my fourth tip is going to be probably the most important, and people get on me all the time for saying this. But the most important thing that you can do to be productive is to eliminate distractions.
I was going to say, because one of the biggest things that I've noticed about your productivity style, when I see you a lot throughout the day as you're working, I don't think I've ever seen you, taking a break real quick to call somebody that isn't work related, or taking a break to walk around and think about something, or taking a break to watch a YouTube video, or unless it's directly applying to what you need to do right that second.
Yeah.
Like, you really don't seem to get distracted, and it makes me kind of like, I put you up. Yes, because I compare myself to you, and I'm like, dude, I'm distracted every 2 seconds.
So don't compare yourself to people, just in general. No, I mean, I think, but I've also had 20 plus years of doing it this way, right? I learned over the course of 20 years that this is the way that it works, right? Brain dump, priorities, actions. Immediately, even right now, you should be thinking about all the different things that distract you currently. We did a boot camp not long ago, which is something we do to serve anybody and everybody who just wants to kind of test drive some of the things that we're doing. And when we did one, I did an entire, I think 25 or 30 minutes on distractions and what the national average is. I mean, the national average is up to 3 to 4 hours a day is wasted in distractions from 22 to 55. All right, so let's compound that, because I'm a big fan of compounding. So if you're getting distracted anywhere from 3 to 5 hours, the average is 4, okay, hours a day, times the average workday of 5 days, that's 20 hours a week. 20 hours a week, do the math, end up in a year. Literally, you can pick up almost 2 years of productive time if you would just focus. One of the folks that we just had on recently, and he actually had in his book, he had this terminology that you can actually add 11 years to the end of your life by being more productive.
Wow.
Right? When it comes down to this, you are trying to get to a place where you're able to increase focus, increase time, increase resource, and increase impact. And the only way that you get from one to the other is by following the process that I outlined, and for God's sakes, look at your distractions, right? We're all tempted during the course of the day to pop on Facebook or pop on Instagram and just scroll aimlessly for a few minutes to have a mental break. The problem is those algorithms within those apps are designed to put your eyeballs on the thing.
Yeah.
It's precisely the reason why I turn off my notifications. My notifications on social channels are turned off.
Well, and also your brain chemistry is literally working against you because they've engineered these things for dopamine release.
Well, and look, I don't think there's, like I said, an overindulgence of anything is what's going to be the problem, right? Social media, when used well and used correctly, can do a lot of good. Social media, when not used well and not used correctly, can do a lot of damage, right? So you mentioned earlier the next step of this distraction. So make a list. Do I play video games too much? Am I watching too much TV? Am I on my phone? Am I talking to You'd be surprised. I've had people in my building that will literally talk to their spouse for up to 3 hours a day just because they're calling each other. Knock it off, you two. Like, there's work to be done.
Yeah.
Like, I reach out to my wife around lunchtime, give or take, and sometimes it's just a text. And sometimes I got so much going on that I might even just be, hey, babe, just want to tell you I love you. And that's it. Right? And then when I get home, we have a conversation about how our days were, and, whatever. Again, these are distractions. Anything that helps you, anything that takes your eye off the ball is a distraction. And during a set amount of time, a duration time from 7 a.m., for me it's 7 a.m. to like maybe close to 5 p.m., give or take, I'm focused on hitting the ball. How many times can I get up to bat? How many times can I hit the ball? Right? I'm not focused around cleaning off my cleats. I'm not focused on looking at what the other team's doing. I'm not comparing myself to what everybody else is doing. Because nobody else is going to help me get where I'm headed. I've got to put in the effort myself.
Yeah.
Right? That effort then breeds courage and impact in other people, and then they follow suit. So at the end of the day, you've got brain dump, priorities, actions, remove your distractions, and then the fifth and final thing that you need to do as part of this process is you need to put into place a routine, some would call it a ritual, where it protects your time, right? I don't feel the need to check social media because at a specific time of day, I'm checking social media. For a specific duration of time, I'm checking social media. The whole world's not going to fall apart during the course of the middle of the day, right? And if it does, you're already going to know about it long before you check social media. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I get up, I pray and meditate, do my prayer meditation routine. I hit the gym, which is where I do a lot of my personal development work, podcasts, YouTube, whatever I'm utilizing. I'm focused on a specific pillar. I then break out my day into anywhere from 15 to 30-minute increments as I'm building out my schedule from the brain dump from the stuff before, based on the priorities from the day before.
Right, so you have your list, and then your routine is just how you attack that list in a set amount of hours consistently.
And then if something comes in the middle and disrupts that routine, okay, fine, I deal with it, and then I go back to my list.
Nice.
Right? I try not to let those one things derail my whole day. It does happen. I'm not.
How much does routine help with that, though? Like the not letting the things derail you as much.
I've been doing it so long, it's so muscle memory-ish that I would dare say it's ultimately what makes me as productive as I am.
Have you ever had to drastically change your routine? And if you have, did you feel there's a resistance there?
I know yes. The answer to the first part of that question is yes, I have. The answer to the second part of that question is not so much. Certain people are designed to go with the flow and kind of deal with change pretty quickly. I'm one of those people. I like change. Like my team, I drive them nuts because I'm like, hey, we're going this direction. Nope, we're going to go this direction. Why are we going this direction? Because that way it wasn't working. How do we know it wasn't working? Because of this result. Well, how do you know that'd be different? I don't. We're gonna test it. Yeah. We're gonna have a little experiment,
which can be annoying for some people who are doing the widgets,
who are more detail and more change averse.
Well, because they've been working hard on one way, and they're like, oh god, I gotta start it a whole different way now.
But if you look at the trajectory, okay, of their life, running this way, using that methodology, and using my methodology of being flexible,
yours gets way more done.
I 10x to 100x their productivity.
And it's funny because you're not even you don't even focus on accuracy at all, which I'm not telling people not to do. Mm-hmm. But I've said this a lot of times because it's really bewildered me as someone who's studied successful people a lot and then met one. Yeah. Is you don't really even worry about are you doing things perfectly or like you do it your best, but you don't worry about that at all.
Perfection is the death of productivity.
Yeah, you just get it done.
Because look, you're gonna learn the right way for you by doing it. You're not gonna learn the right way for you by basically trying to set the dominoes up 100,000% in your favor.
And that's what I did for years.
It just doesn't work.
I was tweaking dominoes for weeks on end.
And in the moment you're like, well, I'm doing a good job.
Well, it's because I thought I was saving myself time, and I think that's what people say. I wanted to avoid the hard work so much that I was like, you know what? I'm going to outsmart success. I'm going to come up. It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Sorry.
I know you're right. It doesn't work. But I thought I was going to outsmart it. I thought I was going to be like, all right, I'm going to come up with the perfect plan, and then I'll have to do the minimal effort to get the goal.
Yeah. I mean, the reality is it just doesn't work that way. right? I mean, brain dump, priorities, action, eliminate distraction, put the routine in place. And the last part is just get your ass to work. And don't take your eye off the ball. Like, it's amazing how far someone can go in 12 months with just a simple 12-month commitment. I have seen people double their income in 12 months because they get consistent. I've seen people meet their loved one or their quote unquote soulmate because they spent that year leading up to that, getting themselves super tight and ready to go, right? What I mean by that is like mentality, emotionally, making sure they're not bringing baggage into something. I've seen people find the careers that they want because they finally got clear on understanding, hey, who am I? What am I here for? What am I going to do about it? Like, a 12-month commitment of sacrificing all the BS that distracts you on a consistent basis will radically transform everything around you. Radically.
Yeah.
The problem that we run into, and this is where I got lucky in many respects, I was forced to do it that way because if I didn't focus and I didn't do the diligence, I didn't do the hard work first, I was not going to eat or have shelter.
It's cool. I love how you literally just said you were lucky that you were homeless in a way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. I mean, a lot of my homelessness, and I've shared this, my dad has a hard time with it from time to time. My homelessness and stuff that I went through wasn't my dad's fault. Even though we had a I wouldn't call it a terrible upbringing, but I would say a very unstable upbringing. Right? There's lots of peaks and sharp valleys, right? Like a heartbeat.
Ups and downs.
Yeah. Right. The homelessness stuff was based on my pride and my own ego. I mean, ultimately, I was trying to be perfect. Right? I was trying to be all things to all people. I didn't want to let people know I was struggling and that I didn't have it, quote unquote, all figured out. That's all pride and ego. In fact, when you look at the people who are truly successful and the people who typically are held back from success, one of the greatest common denominators are the people who have so much pride, they don't allow themselves to be repositioned. Right? They're so focused. I know myself better than anybody else. I got news for you. That's not true.
So the people
you can't see your blind spots. You don't know how people are perceiving you when you talk to them. You don't know how people are perceiving you when they put you in community with other people, right? You can say one dumb thing to the wrong person, and that wrong person then, who is maybe the gatekeeper of that connection that you need to go to the next level, says, I don't know about so-and-so, that I don't know if they're safe. Meaning, I don't know if I let them into our inner circle, is it going to help us or hurt us? You see what I'm saying? And all of that every bit of that comes from the direction that you're coming at the world with. So when you're looking at this productivity side of things, right? Brain dump, right? Prioritization, your action list, like, refining your action list, remove the distractions around you, put the routine in place. And then you got to get to work, man.
I like how you basically said that people have to create two different lists. You have to create a to-do list and you have to create a not-to-do list. Mm-hmm. And the not-to-do list is essentially your distraction list.
That's right. I mean, if you do those things, you're going to be successful, right? Are you going to be successful overnight? No. Are you going to be successful in a 12-month window if you keep it up? Heck yeah. You're going to be successful if you do it for 60 months straight? Oh, hell yeah. People want the instant gratification. It's one of the things that's going to kill the hearts and the minds of the generations that are following me, is because we have set them up as a community, as a population, to want things now, want it today. It doesn't work that way. I had people that I hired for the Journey Principles brand 5 years ago. They started out and they thought that, like, oh, we get raises automatically every year. No, you don't. You don't get a raise for breathing. You get a raise for performing.
Right.
Did we hit our metrics? Well, no. Are we making enough revenue to cover our expenses? Well, no. Then why am I going to raise my expenses?
Yeah.
You short cycle yourself for longevity. The greatest killer of productivity is being short-sighted. You've got to have a bigger vision and a bigger plan at play, right? I don't take money from Journey Principles. I never have. Right? I don't do that because the business needs the capital. Right? I might need to buy a camera. Right?
Yeah, I mean, everything you do goes straight back in immediately. Yeah.
And it's not because I'm not necessarily trying to. It's funny because I hear you say some. Well, one day we're gonna have a $1 billion. I'm like, dude, knock it off. Like, if we impact well, everything else will follow. And if we get distracted by focusing on income, we are never gonna make the impact. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. right? I'm in a position where, because of my other business ventures, I have a comfortable living wage, right? I have the ability to donate and give. We weathered COVID pretty well. We've got other things at play that should hopeless restructure. But even my big businesses, right? Those have to be constantly monitored. Those have to be constantly fed. And I just had to pay well over 6 figures for a new computer system, because what got us to 8 million or what do they call it?
8 figures.
8 figures.
Right.
Is not going to get us from 8 figures to 10 figures. It's just there comes a point in time where each one of your stages, what you did yesterday that got you to today, can't take you to tomorrow because it collapses on itself.
Yeah.
Right?
You have to constantly evolve at each level, each iteration.
You do, and you know what the number one indicator of that evolution is? Pain, frustration, adversity, overwhelm, anxiety.
So if you're feeling those things, that means that you're.
That means you're right there at needing to go to the next level.
And until you step up, you're going to stay there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And that hurts.
It takes so little courage to step up, to say, okay, what do I need to learn? How am I not seeing things? What's the perspective I need? Right. Most people make their perspective judgment calls based on the inside out. Like, what I mean by that is, my outlook, we talk transformational versus traditional all the time. My outlook is controlling essentially my outcomes. At the end of the day, you want your outcomes to control your outlook, not the other way around. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You do that, you'll be number one productivity master in your own right. You'll get where you're trying to go. You'll have what you need to have, and you'll also have confidence to do it again. Right? There's an adage that says that people that develop high levels of net worth, okay, even if they lose it all, Jordan Belfort's a perfect example. Okay.
Yeah.
Like him or love him or hate him. Okay. I was on a Clubhouse call with him yesterday.
You were?
Yeah.
That's cool.
And he was talking about the markets. He was talking about his time obviously in jail, and because he's the Wolf of Wall Street and stuff like that.
Right.
And I was just listening. And the number one, he's already rebuilt his wealth.
Yeah. That was fast.
But it's faster the second time than it is the first time, because the first time you're learning. The second time you're applying.
Yeah.
Right? So why not do the work on the front end? Do the hard work first for 12 months, 24 months. Give yourself enough runway to learn what you need to know, to master what you need to master, to leverage what you need to leverage, to get the result you need to get. You've got to come at things at a different angle. It can't be, well, so-and-so did it, I can't do it. Or my mom and dad or my uncle or my cousin, whoever in my life doesn't think I can do it, so maybe I can't. Look, if you think you can do it, go after it. If you don't think you can do it and you want to stay in a shell and never experience what fulfillment and ultimate productivity will feel like, then that's your choice.
You'd probably, if you're going to do that, you'd probably better lower your expectations, though, because it's a miserable way
But that's
to live
the thing, is people are settling, they're lowering their expectations, and they're not even trying.
Yeah.
Because they don't believe it's possible. I'm telling you, it is possible. It's possible now. Like right now. Now is the time. Right? You don't want for this economy to start to crash and it's already getting shaky right now. I mean, seriously, it's getting shaky. By 2022, if things don't change with the tax rates and everything that are going up right now, it's going to be a big problem.
There's a lot of big investors saying some not so great things.
Well, and it's because there's indications. These are the tea leaves, right? You got 12 months to get your act together. You got 12 months to get your money stored away, get your emergency fund fully funded, work the extra hours, get on the DoorDash, get on the Grubhub, do the Uber Eats, do the Lyft driving, do whatever it takes to get yourself in a position to weather a storm. Okay? When you do that once or twice, and you've sensed that, and that productivity has driven that behavior, then eventually you'll get to the place where you have cash on the sidelines, so when the economy does tank, because it will, like eventually, and then it'll start the cycle to recline.
Yeah, that's how the economy works.
Look, America's well over 200 years old, and you can go back from now all the way to the beginning of the history, and it's happened over and over and over and over and over. Right? I have this old adage that when there's a bull market, you better be protecting your butt because the bear will bite you in the butt.
Because the bear follows the bull.
The bear always follows the bull, and the bull always follows the bear. It's cyclical.
Yeah.
Okay? So You got 1 year right now to really get your crap together. Make sure you got your emergency fund in place. Make sure you got maybe your side hustle is performing. You got 1 year. Why not commit 1 year and then you will weather a storm that will take out a lot of people because other people aren't prepared. You see, productivity is not about how much crap you get done. It's about being prepared. It's about opportunity. It's about capitalization. It's about performance. There's a reason why people call them ultra high performers, because ultra high performers do stuff in a routine style with flexibility so they can manage their day and do some different things, but that's how they do it. That's pretty much my roadmap on productivity, dude. I don't know if I dropped enough there.
No, dude, that was plenty. I think there's plenty to dissect, man. Thank you.
Absolutely. Cool. As you can see, your questions are important. Do me a favor and drop your questions in the comment section below to make sure we can answer your specific questions. In the meantime, you're probably going to check out this video right here, so check it out. Courage comes from the fact of actually stepping up to the plate and saying, I don't care what everybody else says. It's my life. It's up to me. I'm going to do something with it. I'm going to do something amazing with it.